This is the Mosen Mortgage Program with Sarah Mosen. Mosen Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550. And now, here's your host, Sarah Mosen.
It's November, folks, and I can't believe it, Pat. I mean, it just moves so quickly, doesn't it?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I feel like it was the summer, and we were talking about how we love those hazy, crazy days of summer, and now the kids are back to school, and they've been back to school now for a couple of months, and November, my golly, it is beautiful, a beautiful time of year, and I do so look forward to getting together with my family, and for Thanksgiving this year, we're doing something special where my sister has got an entire inn up in New Hampshire, and a whole bunch of us are going to be coming together, probably about 35 of us. Wow. So it will really be fun. You know, we'll be there for like 4 or 5 days together, and so I do look forward to that so very much. But I still am trying to hold on to this nice weather, because once Thanksgiving comes, so does Old Man Winter, right?
It does. And I think that hopefully it won't be a long and rough sort of winter for us. I do love this time of year. It's a very pretty time of year, and November is a great month. It's coming towards Thanksgiving. We actually sponsor a female boot camp, for women, and we do that every quarter. And we sponsor several athletes, women athletes. And I believe in that just from the standpoint of health and wellness, which goes literally hand in hand with financial freedom and fitness. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to that towards the end of November. We just ended our 5K run for a great family here who does that for their fallen soldiers, and so we were very excited about that. Raised quite a bit of money, and we're always supporting the American Cancer Society because of the fact that really, Pat, every one of us has been affected by this in some way. So I encourage folks to always be of service, give back, and I know our listeners are great about that, giving to the church, the community, and to people in need. And it's important not only just during this time of year, but just on a regular basis, be it your time, or if you have funds, then give as much as you can.
Absolutely. And that's what God calls us to do. He calls us to, first and foremost, everything we have is His. And He calls for us to give Him our first 10%, our best. And the rest of it is for us to do whatever we please. However, He calls us to be responsible with whatever He does give us, even beyond the 10% that we tithe to Him. And that means having a balance of things with what you do with your money, how much you spend, and how much that you have out in debt, and what are you doing with your money. And if you're right now all tied up with plastic and student loans, and a lot of your hard-earned money is just going to interest, and there's never anything that's going to come back to it for you, it's time to take a good hard look at what you can do to change that. And right now, money is still very inexpensive. And with Sarah at Mosen Mortgage and the fine folks there, they are wholesale lenders, so they can get you loans. They can get things consolidated for you. Your credit score doesn't have to be perfect. Even your debt-to-income ratio can be up to 50%, which is very different if you go to a credit union or a local bank, which local banks and credit unions are fine. I'm going to say that before Sarah says it. But this is a time for them to give you a call, Sarah.
It is. I think that it's great to open up sort of the conversation, get engaged about where your finances are. I get a lot of phone calls, believe me, and I try and get back to folks as quickly as possible. As I've said, I enjoy the conversations. I do travel. I do guest on several different shows as well, and I've been fortunate and blessed enough to be invited to be on the air with either Jim Turner on WBZW in Florida, that's a sister station with Salem, and that Pat Ryan from Salem was kind enough to introduce me to our Florida station a year ago. It's been about a year, Pat, since I've been on the air in Florida.
Well, it's always, like anybody, it's always a pleasure to introduce people around that you're proud to be partnered up with, somebody that you feel totally confident and credible, that can do a good job. It's and that's how I felt, Sarah, when I introduced you to our good friend Bill Files down there in Florida.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. I'm thankful for that, Pat. Really, I've made some great friendships, and it's been a joy. It really has. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a terrific experience. I've been on the air with David Spoon in California. That's also Salem sister station as well. And certainly a good friend of mine, Glenn Meekum, who is not only a radio personality, but is a great entrepreneur and great visionary, just starting his second technology company called Forever, which is going to be a huge success, just like his last company in the 1990s, which went public, and he was very successful, but successful in the sense that he did create a lot of great jobs. He has certainly given to the community and to his church. He's a very faith-based person, and I have to say this, Pat, I believe that it's not about just being in church. It's about your behavior and how you are on a day-to-day basis. And so for me, it's always being mindful and being faith-based, but it doesn't matter if you're going to church every single day, but if you're not mindful or if you're not, acting in accordance to, giving respect to others, then it really doesn't mean very much. That's my view on it.
And, when I was younger, way back 100 years ago in my teen years.
It was like, what, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
You're 12. I don't know what you're talking about, Pat.
My very dear dad, who has gone home with the Lord for many years now, but he gave me this small book, and it was entitled The Imitation of Christ. And I remember looking at the title and thinking, The Imitation of Christ. Now, what exactly does that mean? And it means exactly as it sounds, that we are called to grow in our faith and our relationship with Christ to such an extent that we begin to imitate what we're reading in the Word, what we're hearing when we're on our knees talking to Christ, in our behavior, in our thinking, in all the things that we do. And I think that's pretty much what you were just talking about, Sarah. When folks are following the good Lord and trying our darndest to become more and more like Him and read His Word and really stay on track with building our relationship, all of that, the behavior will start to show itself. You won't ever wonder. There's a song that, one of the famous lines is, they will know we are Christians, by our behavior. And and that's pretty much, I think, what you were describing with your friend that has become so successful in what he does.
Essentially, Pat, it is actions speak louder than words. So I do believe that as much as we give to church and to our community, we also have to be mindful of our actions. And it's very interesting. I had this amazing lady that and she completely inspired me, Pat. She's a listener in Florida, and I had to tell her, I said, you have impacted my life greatly, and a lot of our listeners have, Pat, because of the way they are so mindful and very, very gracious in every action. And certain things that I noticed with her, and she had said this to me. I said, you've always been gracious and always happy and always delightful and cheerful. And I said that you also seem to be so peaceful in sort of your whole presence. And the reality is that she's very faith-based, and, she does go to church regularly, but yet she said, Sarah, there are people who spend hours in church and feel that is all that is necessary, and their actions speak otherwise. And so, again, I have to say that our listeners are terrific, and they have really filled my life with joy because of how gracious and mindful they are.
And we are. As Christians, the reason we are Christians in the first place is because we know we're not perfect. We know that we're sinful. We're born with the seed, that comes through, Adam, and it's just the way it is. Through Adam and Eve, but through Christ, we can be so relieved of all of that, and we have a whole brand new life and a brand new outlook, and our behavior will start to imitate that. And Marita is staying right on cue with, okay, this is all good, but we're coming to a close for this week, believe it or not.
Wow.
For Friday. Yep. So again, let me remind you to check out Mosen Mortgage Facebook and call them, free phone call 24/7, 1-800-662-9550.
Stay well, folks.
This has been the Mosen Mortgage Program with Sarah Mosen. Mosen Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550.